In May of 2025, this picture went absolutely viral for this man holding a whopping 9-year-old iPhone 7. Why? Because that man was found out to be billionaire Evangelos Marinakis. The rich spend wisely, but you see the poor, they spend recklessly. If you look at how often people bought a new phone in the US since 2018, it was around every 3 years, but as pro phones started booming, people started upgrading their phones more frequently, until smartphones peaked and innovation slowed down, in which things reversed and people started upgrading much less frequently. People are realizing that they don't need to get the latest phone out for even longer. Here's why you might be brainwashed into tech consumerism and why you probably don't need the new phone that's out. Every year, a new iPhone comes out in September, and Apple says,
and that's why I'm really excited to tell you about an entirely new version, the iPhone 3GS, because this is the most powerful, fastest iPhone we've ever made.
We've ever made.
Ever
We've ever made.
well, yeah, it better be the best ever. It's the newest one. Imagine them saying, this is the second best iPhone we've ever made. And it's not just Apple. Samsung does something similar to us using the phrase, the next big thing, as they're always trying to buy hype for you to buy their new products or more of them. Tech companies are always trying to push the idea that you need more and that more is better.
Who thinks more is better than less? Okay, why?
More is better than less, because if stuff is not if there's less stuff, then you might want to have some more, and your parents just don't let you because there's only a little bit.
Right.
We want more. Like, you really like it, you want more.
These commercials popped off at the time because the kids that they had on were so genuine and cute. Ironically, these commercials really accurately portrayed not just kids, but all of us. We wanted more in tech, and understandably so. Back then, the internet was really slow, phones were laggy for daily performance, and tech was fragile. In the 2010s, when you got a new phone, it was so sick. Every single aspect of it was new. Its design, camera, user interface, display, and features were drastically different year after year. And low-key, it felt like some of these phones strategically dropped in performance and battery exactly 1 year later. It was like it was letting you know you gotta buy a new phone right now. The software would all of a sudden be so glitchy, and if you dropped your phone, even with a case, unless you had them mad bulky OtterBox cases with a $50 glass screen protector, your phone was cooked. Fast forward a decade later and things have completely changed. Smartphones have stood the test of time, not just for 3 years, but for even longer. This is what the Verizon CEO had to say.
Our customer now holds the phone way over 36 months. Remember when we changed the phone every year?
Every year.
Yeah, that was exciting times. The resilience and the quality of the phones has improved quite dramatically the last 5 to 10 years, so people can keep them much longer.
Globally speaking, the global smartphone cycle is even higher, as people worldwide upgrade their devices every 3.6 years on average. Tech reviewers are saying older and cheaper models are sufficient.
But before you drain your wallet for the latest shiny gadgets, let's take a closer look to see if it's really worth your hard-earned cash. Because trust me, I've used and owned over 200 devices in my lifetime, and not all that glitter is gold. Or should I say, you shouldn't always want the latest device. I can tell you that most new smartphones released today are like Hollywood sequels, same story, just a fancier costume. They want you to believe that last year's phone is obsolete. Unless you're trying to win the gold medal in fastest app launch in Olympics, most of us won't even notice the difference.
This is so true. If you have a flagship from either Samsung or Apple as far back as 2022 or even 2021, you will still be good today without upgrading. Yo, fastest app launching Olympics got me weak. That is so funny, but what he said is so true. Like, who really cares if your phone is 0.01 seconds faster? Those are negligible differences. And all phones, minus a few, really look all the same. So what's actually essential for most, both Apple and Androids have accomplished, making their phones better for long-term usage. Which is why tech reviewer Ryan Thomas still used an older Samsung Galaxy S21 FE.
It's 3 generations old, was never the best phone when it launched, and yet I have no problem using it every single day.
And this seems to be the same case for plenty of people in 2025, as well as myself. This now 4-year-old iPhone 13 mini can do 80% of what the newest Pro can do for more than half of the price, and has been my current phone for the last year. It has a stellar design, nice camera, a natural color sharp display, solid battery, smooth performance, and best of all, it's still getting the latest software updates. I was actually quite surprised that Liquid Glass was running pretty fine on my 13 mini. What's crazy is that it's not even the oldest phone compatible with iOS 26. The iPhone 11, which is 6 years old, is still compatible with the latest new update. Before, software was largely a reason smartphones felt new when you got them, but now those updates are super accessible, with Androids as well, which largely takes away from the newest phone out. Even tech companies know this, which is why they always stop selling their older phones on retail, because they know for a fact consumers would still buy them over their new phones. So is it really worth spending $1,000 even if it's broken up into monthly payments? Spending less also helps relieve the pressure of having to protect your phone at all costs. Or is it worth paying 3 times more money for performance gains you won't notice if you're an average homie like me? Before, it was truly not worth recommending older or cheaper phones, but now that's just not the case. Pro phones haven't been meaningfully innovating, baseline phones are closer to pro phones than ever, and mid-range phones are excellent and even recommended for all average consumers. Pro phones have plateaued, and what you get for what you pay for $1,000 is arguably not much more. In 2025, Apple launched their all-new iPhone Air. Aesthetically, as a tech enthusiast, it's stunning, but if you really think about it, for $1,000, is it worth it? To me, the iPhone Air does a good job representing tech consumerism, consumerism, trying to make us upgrade when we really don't need it, and the innovation is actually empty. While the iPhone Air is beautifully thin and from an engineering standpoint, it is massively impressive, we've already had this thin phone phenomenon in the iPhone 6. Apple is really going backwards. For the last several years, no one has asked for a thinner phone. Honestly, more preferred a thicker phone with a larger battery. But yet, here we are. Big tech can sometimes create pain points that don't exist to then act as if they are creating a solution. But what's more interesting is that there's quite a few compromises for the Air. Having just one camera, no bottom speaker, and a smaller battery, in the long term, this may outweigh the awe-dropping thinness of the phone. They also might have admitted that the iPhone Air will overheat.
iPhone Air demands the most efficient, high-performance chip we've ever built for iPhone, and that is A19 Pro.
Okay, so the iPhone Air is gonna get their best processor. Like, that's great, right? Okay, but then they said this when talking about the iPhone 17 Pro.
Is the most powerful chip made for iPhone. But this much power generates heat. So we designed a completely new thermal system to dissipate heat rapidly.
Okay, so they admit that it gets hot and they put a solution for it getting hot in their Pro phone, but wait, didn't you just say you're putting that same hot processor in the phone that doesn't have that cooling solution?
So is this really innovation when there are this many drawbacks? Is it really innovation to be able to take landscape selfies when in the same time you could just move your hand? Remember how much of a game changer it was when Apple introduced the fingerprint scanner? It was like wildly more convenient to unlock your phone. That's actually useful innovation. But as of late, there hasn't been any real breakthroughs, and even all of this AI for most average homies like me is not really essential. And if you haven't been aware of Apple's current rep for the past few years, it hasn't been so good. The iPhone Air along with Liquid Glass could just be their shiny new product to mask their actual struggles with AI. Maybe we're getting played. The bigger thing to note is that we've reached a point where smartphones have peaked, and that's great for us consumers, but for tech companies, that means it's much harder to innovate as much in a meaningful way, in which I think they're now trying to convince consumers without real upgrades. Smartphones have plateaued, so don't fall for it. Don't fall for their marketing of features that aren't really revolutionary. Don't fall for these random celebrity endorsements. Don't fall for these best ever leaps forward that you probably won't notice. And in tech, for the longest time, the phone you had was such a status symbol. Or even something like when AirPods first came out, the culture was flooded with memes. When you had the newest iPhone, everyone would crowd around you to see it. Thankfully, that's really not the case anymore. People don't give a flip about what phone you have. So don't fall for it, or worse, be enslaved to tech consumerism.
Okay, you understand? If you're a slave, you rebel, right? But if you don't know you're a slave, and you like this, you choose this, then you will never rebel, okay? So the consumerism is the perfection of slavery, okay? And that's why Francis Fukuyama thinks that consumerism is the end of history, because it is a system that achieves what the elites want, and the masses are unwilling and unable to protest and rebel.
So do you really need a new phone? If you're having a battery issue, you can get it replaced, or if your screen is cracked, you can get that repaired. But if your software is slower than your grandma, or your phone is just hanging on a thread, just go for it. Or if you're a tech enthusiast and you're just trying to treat yourself, do your thing. Honestly, the iPhone Air or something like the S25 Edge does look sick. This is really just me trying to help folk do a double take and think about if they really need a new phone. I'm just trying to help a homie save some money, especially those that have had their phone for 2 or 3 years and their phone is perfectly fine. I'm just trying to squeeze in 1 more year for you. But if you really need a new phone and want to buy the newest iPhone, this year the iPhone 17 baseline seems to be the one that's best value though, especially since it's now 256 gigabytes and it finally has a 120Hz display. Golly! But if you're trying to spend less, the iPhone 13 mini or Pixel 8a are fantastic options. Refurbished phones are way more reliable and trustworthy than in the past. Something to consider is that somehow, even though smartphone cameras are so good, they're still really improving, and AI is definitely the future, so if that's what you care about or need, it may be worth going for the newest phones because the added performance could benefit for the longevity in the future. And for battery, sometimes it still seems to be in need of improving, or it just still is improving, but with most people still charging their phones every day, do we really need 2-day battery life? Maybe 1 day of battery life is a good limit of consumption, but that's another story. And I know some homies actually do need that kind of extended battery. I'll leave it at this.
If you resist the overwhelming message in our world to buy, watch, and consume, you are rewarded with a crazy freedom. So let this be a counter message and a reminder that you don't have to live the way the world tells you to live. It's up to you.
What do y'all think? What phones are you using? Where are we today in terms of smartphone innovation? Is it worth these dummy expensive 10 Benjamin prices? Let me know in the comments. Peace!